What more can be said about The Force Awakens? Seriously, I'm asking you. The movie is going on a decade old, and everyone and their brother has a review/video essay/philosophical treatise about the thing, many of which are longer than the picture itself. I saw one that compared Disney's handling of the saga to the medieval Catholic Church's bastardization of the Bible, complete with a call for all true Star Wars fans to go Protestant Reformation on their asses. Another was literally 12 hours long. But speaking as someone who has spent conservatively 10 times that amount of time rewriting the sequel trilogy, it's probably prudent for me to explain just what was so bad about the real one that I felt compelled to do such a stupid thing. It's also possible that as someone who has dedicated, wasted the time to develop an alternative narrative, I may be able to come at the sequels with a fresh perspective, although I certainly wouldn't bet on that. When you look back at how thoroughly terrible a foundation The Force Awakens laid for the trilogy as a whole, it can be easy to forget just how much the movie gets right in isolation. The music is great as ever, the dialogue is strong, the jokes are top-notch, the effects are excellent, CG and practical both. It's so refreshing to see an army of stormtroopers whose armor isn't made of cheapo 70s plastic or whatever PS2 graphics are built out of. Even more impressive is what's inside that armor. In a frustratingly safe movie, having a main character be a stormtrooper who turns good was a bold move. We'd never seen that before. Finn is a great character, a coward who has to learn to find his steel in a world gone mad. It's relatable. But it's not just Finn, all the characters are solid. Leia comes into her own as a leader, all while wrestling with a deep personal loss. Han has become a sad, albeit still too cool for school, old man who's regressed to his previous ways, but still carries the core of the person he really is. People say that Rey is a flawed character because, well, she's flawless. I disagree. Rey's great weakness is her complacency. In that way, she's kind of the inverse of Luke, someone defined by his impatience, his yearning for adventure, excitement. Rey, meanwhile, is defined by stasis and stagnation, conserving what scraps she has rather than reaching for more. Her journey is about learning to march into a larger world. They don't do much with Poe, at least in this movie, but that's more than made up for by his dynamic with Finn. Oscar Isaac and John Boyega have real chemistry on screen. In fact, all the performances are excellent. Sure, there are a few sloppy moments. That scene where Rey and Finn talk over each other after escaping Jakku is kind of cringy. Not cringe, it's cringy or cringe-worthy, you useless TikTok cretins! You can't turn a verb into an adjective if it already has been 2 times! Sorry about that. Plus, Adam Driver is far and away the best thing to come out of the sequel trilogy. Absolutely killing it as a rage-soaked little boy, struggling desperately to fill the shoes of the grandfather he worships for the wrong reasons. However, all this positive stuff starts to melt away once you approach the plot. All the problems, the real problems with this movie can be summed up in a single interaction. Han, Finn, and Rey are sitting around in Maz Kanata's bar eating fruit. Well, I say eating fruit, Rey's just kind of awkwardly holding fruit. You'd think that someone who'd lived her entire life on meager portions of inflatable bread and presumably Soylent Green would be pigging out the first time she ever set foot in a restaurant, but that's utterly irrelevant to the point I'm trying to make, so I'll just shut the hell up about it. Anyway, they're sitting around the bar, and Maz tells Han that he needs to get back into the fight. Rey asks, what fight? And Maz says, the only fight. The fight against the dark side. That sentiment right there is the reason this trilogy failed. Because Maz is wrong. That is not the only fight. What about the fight to build a better world, a more just galaxy? I understand what you're fighting against, but what the hell are you fighting for? If good defines itself merely by the absence of evil, then good is nothing. And if that's true, then good will lose. Look no further than Jakku. Look at the lives these people have. If this is the best the Republic can offer them, then no wonder the number of people willing to fight to defend it out of a galaxy of quadrillions are like 400 dudes who can be evacuated on 3 small ships. Anti-fascism is not a real ideology, at least not if it doesn't offer a compelling vision of what to build in fascism's place. Because, like it or not, fascism has a vision. Autocracy wields both a stick and a carrot. It's a carrot of lies. Terrible band name. But at least it's offering something. And evil speaks loudly when it's the only voice in the room. Rewatch the scene from Revenge of the Sith where Anakin consults Yoda about the premonitions he's having about Padme's death. The little green guy is probably the worst grief counselor in history. His answer to the scenario, "My wife is going to die," is in essence, "Get over it, pussy." But it's a "get over it, pussy" cloaked in a pseudo-spiritual wisdom-gram from Space Hallmark. Cold callousness masked in stoic serenity. In that environment, of course Anakin's going to start asking questions. Does democracy work? Does dictatorship? Can I go back to Tatooine and free all the slaves as a Jedi, or must I be a Sith? Did Qui-Gon free me, or did he buy me? If you tell people that love is the path to the dark side, they're going to choose the dark side. Anakin makes that choice, and in return, he's left with nothing. Luke saves him, as well as the galaxy as a whole, by proving that the Jedi were wrong. The Old Guard wanted Luke to go to the second Death Star as an assassin, but he went as a son, as an agent of restoration and creation rather than of destruction. What the sequels needed to do to succeed was to universalize this act, to figure out a way to apply this line of thinking, this imperative to build others up through sacrifice, and spread it to the galaxy as a whole. The fact that the first movie in this trilogy didn't try to start that process, or any other process for that matter, doomed the whole. The decision to paint the First Order as a purely coercive organization was particularly problematic. And sure, their use of what are basically brainwashed child soldiers is obviously a harrowing concept, but its ground we already pretty thoroughly explored with the clones during the prequel era. What would have been far more compelling and true to life would have been to show them utilizing a volunteer force, made up of people who truly believe in the First Order, not because of mental conditioning, but because of their choices. Because they looked at what the New Republic was offering them and came to believe that the opposition would give them a better deal. Soldiers who willingly gave themselves to evil, a great and terrible brotherhood of Anakins, an army of fallen angels. The good guys' goal should have been to redeem them, to prove that the light side, the Jedi, the Republic, could offer a future of peace, passion, and dignity. That all that blathering about hope they're so fond of is actually going somewhere. The fact that the First Order's opening blow in this war so utterly destroys the New Republic that it functionally doesn't exist anymore presents a problem in this respect. And I can see why they did it. The Resistance is, on its surface, easier to root for. Plucky underdogs fighting for freedom are far more likable than some galaxy-spanning megastate fighting for reform. Or at least they would be if we hadn't seen plucky underdogs a million times before. I'm getting sick of them, frankly. The bigger problem than this just being repetitive, though, is that it paints the good as being essentially powerless, incapable of anything more than blow the big thing up, find the map to the guy who will blow the little things up. But after you blow them all up, then what? After that, you have to build something. Reducing our protagonists to insignificant bugs squirming in the shadow of some grand unspeakable evil prevents this from happening. To deny the good guys power denies them the obligations of responsibility. I'd argue that the animating force behind Star Wars, other than Dave Filoni, is this dichotomy between creation and destruction. After you destroy, what do you intend to create? Without an answer to this, the whole exercise is pointless spectacle. But then that's all The Force Awakens was intended to be. It's a thoroughly unambitious movie. It may be slick and fun and thrilling, but it's a ride to nowhere. Next time, we'll take a look at what goes on in nowhere. Sadly, it's not much.